Well, good evening. I'm your host, Robert Wilson with Cowboy Wisdom, presenting 7 ways I rose out of mindset resistance. As I asked me, how did my ego and mindset resistance teach me fear and keep me in fear, being afraid of my talents? As my ego and mindset resistance may have conditioned fear around my talents through subtle patterns of self limitation. And here's 3 ways how. Ego is a false protector that, as my ego thrives on control and identity preservation to keep me inside my comfort zone, trying to be somebody to the world, but being afraid of myself. And often resisting expansion because it perceives growth as a threat to stability. Man, as I wrote this and read this, that really come forth for me, because when you start rising out of your current situation and into the unknown, but however, it's only unknown to my thinking, knowing mind. It's actually a paradise to my intuition, imagination, spirit prowess, to my free flowing energy of my innovative nirvana. See, that's something I really opened up to and understand now. I stay stuck in my thinking, knowing binds and in my self taught torment, because I want to go up here, I want to rise, but I stay down here and over here in the past because it's comfortable. You know, something I've awakened to myself and I had to admit to myself, failure is a comfort zone. Because I can beat myself up, I can say all this, but a failure, it's a comfort zone because it doesn't move me beyond where I've always been in life. And it really sheds and shreds away my talents. And see, even if people are really successful in today, but are they successful in the socialized way of life? Are they successful in the intuitive avenues of animated visionary epiphanies, unleashing now born elegance to dance with life? As my sleek, unique talents disrupt disrupt the familiar way of life, as I energize my autodidact acumen. Autodidact is sovereign educated or sovereign enlightenment. As my autodidact acumen, as my inner self and my self-regulated mindsets create fear as a defense mechanism. Fear is a defense mechanism. So are boundaries. Boundaries are defense mechanisms of fear and being scared to cross over onto the rivers of riches. And something I understand about boundaries, them are a fear you're going to have to face and embrace down the road. The simplest way to get out of a boundary is, why is this occurring for me? Why am I apprehensive about this? Why and where and how do I encompass the gut gumption to face and embrace this with a racy resolve to evolve through it with ease? Questions are liberators. Thinking and knowing are sequesters of yesterday. As a mindset resistance is survival mode programming that we've grown up with from our ancestors. And resistance is often inherited from ancestral survival mode conditioning, reinforcing caution. Yeah, that's me. It's something I really awakened to as I was doing my liberating lingo class. I realized we got cognitive recollections, comfort zone fears, and mindset resistance to anything beyond our thinking knowing. And the world says, well, we're expanding AI. AI is actually, as much as I like it, AI is actually stealing the innate wisdom from people. Yes, people are doing good with it, but how much of it is original? And I use it, don't get me wrong, but I have to ask me, is this original or is this over here? Something I understand. When this country, before telephones, everything, when we was coming across the prairie in the 1800s, how intuitive and how did they have to trust their abilities to move through that? That's interesting to me every time I bring that up, because when they're coming across, can you imagine coming across the Rockies or the Blues or any mountain pass in covered wagon? Now, them people they were tough people. They were internally tough. And today, if we have to change a flat tire, we get all fluttered. I do. But I really relish looking back at the pioneers, because the people had to be wise and very innovative to come across the Rockies and even the White Mountains over here. Can you imagine going up and down them in a covered wagon with no brakes and nothing and horses? It's interesting, but it also shows me the guts and the fortitude of my ancestors. But it also shows me the way that the ancestor survival mode conditions reinforces caution and apprehension about moving forward in life. As I was apprehensive about my enterprising exploration, I was worried about that and apprehensive about my enterprise. Instead of trusting my innovative pioneering talents to cross the Rocky Mountains of my life, I was more worried about, oh my God, what's going to happen here? Instead of saying, okay, we're going to ride and rope this at a high rate of speed because we have the ride and rope talents to do that. Ride and rope's a roping term that way you used to use. We're going to ride and rope and get off the dope. No. But trusting your talents will lead you to your pristine paradises of abundance. Even though it feels uncertain, and it also disbands your subconscious resistance that may be framed within the situation. See, our framework of comfort zone limitations controls our life. But we may think it was dangerous, but it was when I awakened to understand. I energized my campaigner's curiosity to show for me to my pristine paradises of leisure. You encompass the grit, get, and go to galvanize the optimism to go wherever you want. But we've been taught by a system of convenience. And, the more every once in a while, I sit back, okay. I was afraid to go there because I had to get off my couch of grouch and go out and really energize the situation with my trend-setting savvy to disband the situation, to open up to my paradises and my promised land. Fear is a learned boundary. That is an early condition that may have instilled a reward punishment dynamic. And that is true, because fear kept me safe, but it never allowed me to expand out of my current situations. As we have been rewarded with convenience and it kind of steals our innovative value out of ourselves. As I unleash my dynamic daredevilry, setting free my talents, expresses my campaigner confidence to feel risky or vulnerable, dissolving social, societal or family narratives that dismiss unconventional gifts of as hesitation could become ingrained. How's hesitation become ingrained in you? It is in me. Every once in a while, me and it's got to have a conversation, asking what the heavens it wants, because it's got to get the boot and out the door it goes. Because fear is never an absolute truth, but fear is we say is a false evidence appearing real, and that's a lie. Fear is the first enterprising adventure, revolutionizing your revelations to rise, shine, and expand through life. As fear is not an absolute truth, but just an echo of past conditioning, opening your agility to now define the mental constructs of your life and dissolve the mental constructs that is already evident in your pursuit of sovereignty. We're all autodidacts, and that's a sovereign, enlightened entrepreneur. But however, when it comes to being an entrepreneur, you're going to fail your way to success. And I don't mean fall down, but you're going to get skinned up, bumped up, bruised up, angry, mad, frustrated. But it's going to feed all your imprisoned idiocies and let them loose. But you're a sovereign energizer of innovation and energetic wisdom. How's that feel? You're a sovereign energizer, intuitive innovator, and a flowing energetic wisdom. Wisdom rises you out of knowledge because wisdom flows from experiences, as knowledge is from a book. And usually what somebody else thinks life is, and it's usually whatever their viewpoints, opinions, and beliefs. That is the reason I unpunctuated my writings, is because when you read a punctuated book, you're reading the limitations and the thinking, knowing of the author. And whatever the wisdom is, but you're also reading their limitations, and that's the way they view the world. But is that the way you view the world? And will that unleash your dreamers' paradises? But an unpunctuated book, you're going to discover and uncover your own facilitating foresight. And see, that's the thing about life. We face, brace, and we become the facilitator and the participant of our desired accomplished outcomes. So ask me, why does indoctrinated education teach negativity, limiting cognitive recollection, and mindset control? Because that's something I really have opened up to understand. The socialized education teaches negativity to keep us looking at what's wrong in the world instead of teaching autodidact acumen for us to see everything's occurring for us to expand and rise out of the indoctrinated, educated ways and the negativity of ourselves, dissolving restrictive cognitive recollections and mindset control. Because indoctrinated education often prioritizes conformity over enterprising expansion, shaping thoughts in ways they want you to experience. The educated and the powers to be want you to experience life. And it's also into a poverty conscious thought process. And I caught that because my parents come through the 30s. And they had a tough time. I mean, them people were tough coming out of the 30s. And my favorite question is, if it wasn't for the 30s, would the United States had the guts and the grit to defeat Hitler and Japan? There is no answer, but that's an interesting question. As I understand, my indoctrinated education has predefined narrative and cognitive rigidity. As education is rooted in indoctrination, often reinforced fixed interpretations, and it discourages questions and nuanced inquiry, or a liberated revelation beyond the prescribed frameworks of the education school system, socialized brainwashing. Anything beyond socialized brainwashing, people get nervous about, because for this country to rise and the world to rise out of what is going on today, it's going to take people to open up some innovation and inspiration within themselves. We got to stop waiting for the world to fix itself. We got to rise, shine, and color the world with celebrations of love, optimism, and revolutionary revelations, expanding the world out of mindset, resistance, collective cognitive recollections, and the negativity of life. And one thing about all this is it's an emotional conditioning and fear-based learning. If you want to really open up to something, take learning out of your life and use comprehend. What feels better, learn or comprehend? Whatever it is, it is. As education emphasizes compliance through fear, whether of failure, authority, or deviation, it subtly imprints negativity within the cognitive processing of our life, making curiosity feel risky and beyond the mindset restrictions that are within ourselves. And so when we let go and open up to the risk-taker tenacity of our trend-setting ingenuity, we rise, shine, and expand through life. And mindset control is through repetitive reinforcement, systematic repetitions of certain perspectives without the room for personal enlightenment, wisdom, insight, and clarity that creates a refined mental inertia. As individuals, we accept this way of life, this socialized way of life. Right now, we're accepting that business and education are going to rise the world, which they never will, because it's too selfish and too centered on greed, which I believe in the greed, but what it is, it doesn't flow for everybody. And there's something else. The world, it's like a football team. You know, you can have the fastest wide receivers, the best quarterback, the best running back. But if you don't have them horses up front on the offense and defensive line, you're going to lose when it comes to power, push, and finesse. And right now, business and education is the finesse. Wisdom, insight, clarity, intuition, imagination is the horsepower to take us to the promised land of peace, prosperity. And that's an energized peace and an inner rising prosperity within us all. See, in the world, something else we've really opened up to, we accept what is going on rather than question the inherited ideologies and learning that is limitation. So as we comprehend expansion, as I now realize and esteem a voyage of intuition, imagination, innovation, inspiration, as I journey through my external world of expressing energetic wisdom, sovereign cognition that shows that I am actively energizing autonomous acumen, breaking free from the mindset restrictions I placed on myself, indoctrinated education to cultivate boundless understanding. As I'm awakened and aware, admitting to me my mindset resistance and cognitive recollections and comfort zone fear creates a fraudulent thinking and knowing as my mindset resistance, cognitive regulations, and comfort zone fears create fraudulent thinking, knowing, making me afraid of my own talents. As my fraudulent thinking and knowing fabricates perceptions and reinforces limiting narratives that are as factual events that yet are far from sovereign veracity. Veracity instead of truth. That way you never lie to yourself. And here's how the ego and the mindset restrictions and fraudulent knowing and thinking it creates a false security, constructs a comfort zone of masquerading events as safety, yet they often fear acts as illusion of protection that blocks expansive understanding. As the mind clings to familiarity, mistaking restrictions for security. And there's a distorted recall and a filtered awareness as cognitive regulations are shaped by emotional imprinting and meaning past fears or societal conditioning skew perception, preventing liberated insight to flow. And once we understand we've been taught survival mode mindsets from our ancestors, we rise, shine of wisdom, insight, and clarity. As I now understand scenarios instead of mindset, rises us out of that, because a scenario you can design, color, and do whatever you desire to do. But however, scenarios are the unknown, but with a scenario, you can innovate it, color it, design it, sculpt it, and you can put your imprints in there. But something you can do with a scenario, you can never do with a mindset. You can put your sense of smell, color, you can put the images of your dreams. Something I really want people to understand, your sense of smell is your strongest sense because that goes straight into the brain. But scenarios, what is the scenario of your desired lifestyle? And once you can design the scenario, you can color the featureless canvas of your subconscious landscape, and that gives you the great get and go to go and experience your life your way. But when you let go of mindsets and open up to scenarios, you liberate you from you. Everything about this is dissolving the mindset restrictions, the cognitive recollections of your past, and rise out of your comfort zone limitations that are all within you. Then you really rise to a better way of life. So it's the scenarios. What are the scenarios that you really desire to experience? That is something that is good, but it really opens up to the dynamics of your dreamer's dexterity, agility, ability, and audacity to rise above your socialized way of life. And see, and scenarios influence sovereign liberation, politically incorrect inspiration, autonomous expansion, cowboy wisdom, outlaw optimism, revolutionary revelations you express to the world, expressing to the world where your trails of triumph that show for you too your beaches of bountiful bliss, because you always you want to let go of answers and solutions because they take you to a dead end. But as you open up to understand, you're forever on a pathway of enlightenment, illuminating your trails of triumph. You're always energetically listening, innovatively questioning to comprehend the wisdom of your life situations, to color your world with your dreamer's dexterity, and experiencing your desired lifestyle. And that's what I really open up to. Is if you want to realize your sunrise scenarios activate, and genius insight animates inventor's acuity, effortlessly chauffeurs you to your beaches of bountiful bliss now and forevermore. As I rise, as innovative scenarios rise me out of my ancestor programming, mindset resistance, cognitive recollections, into my dreamer's dexterity, innovative prominence, inspired desire to light the fire of my dreams. Here's 5 profound ways innovative scenarios elevate you beyond your ancestral programming and mindset resistance, disrupting cognitive loops, experiencing and breaking repetition thinking, energetic alignment with your dreams and desired lifestyle, opens up your inner frequencies, dissolving subconscious imprints tied to ancestor survival mode conditioning. Liberated innovation activates innovation, sparks an awareness that opens up your dissolves inherited memories into sovereign understanding. As you rise and shine of your embodied evolution to energize, visualize, optimize, lionize, ubiquitous, trend-setting, innovative, omnific nirvana, opening your intuitive wisdom, fostering self-generated innovation beyond generational constraints. As you open up to your straightforward foresight, you stroll through life with ease. And I want to thank you. I am Robert A. Wilson with Cowboy Wisdom, and we'll be here Thursday night with Why Life Mirrors a Railroad Track. Thank you and good day.